Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We are here. Looks like we got to get all this settled up. I mean, obviously, there has been a lot of things happen. We've been on the road running everywhere. NHRA here and there and all over. I feel kind of bad that I was actually at the NHRA event Saturday night. You know, I had, or Saturday. NHRA is kind of weird. They're like on a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. type schedule, where dirt racing is on like a 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. schedule. So it's a little bit different. We are going to have a little bit of a video, hopefully. I got to talk to NHRA just a little bit because the issue at hand is that we are drinking water, for one. Obviously, we're not going to be getting too drunk tonight. Oh, hopefully that don't start something. Okay, it didn't. Oh, it didn't. But the weird thing about NHRA, sorry, got these new little earpieces in, trying to make them work. The interesting thing about NHRA is that you can't take any video, you know, and this is something that really upset me. When I got there, you know, they go over these terms, photos here, photos there. You're able to stand here to take video and photos and stand there and take videos and photos. But you can't do any video of on-track action. And I'm like nothing? And they're like, no, nothing. Fox Sports has a contract with NHRA to broadcast the action on the track, and you can't film or publish any of that because obviously they have paid for the rights to be able to use that product. Now that's a very interesting situation, and you know, when that hit me, I was like, oh, because I'm over here in the sprint car dirt track world, late model world, and we're not really to that point yet. But with streaming companies getting involved and everything like that, obviously there's a bunch of people who can go there and film and do what they want at the track. But how far are we until we cannot, period, at all, actually go and film at the track, no matter who you are? Film any racing action, film anything at all, because that's what happens on the NHRA scene. I'm going to assume that's what happens with the NASCAR scene, and you have to have special permission to film any racing action at all, period. So how far are we until the dirt world does that? How far are we until Flow or Dirt Vision, and hopefully, I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna, somebody from the organizations will watch this. Apparently Brian Carter watches, so who all knows that's watching. But my point in that is, you know, you somewhat take pages from what the bigger entities do out there. And if these streaming companies are going to take a page out of a Fox Sports, you know, organization, that's one of those pages that are taken. And like I said, I ain't got a video out of my trip to NHRA yet, and there's reasons for that. You know, I sent them an email. I'm like, look, I do have a badass content. I just got the new S23 Ultra. You know, I've been doing all my videos on an old shanky S20 FE, which anybody who knows, that's like the SE for the S20. So it's like a $400 phone. And it does really well. I mean, Samsung phones, in my opinion, blow Apple's out of the water for usability and content creation and just overall usability. Samsung is or Android destroys iPhone, in my opinion. But at the same time, hold on, it's freaking deal. Keeps falling into my ear. I told the lady, I was like, I got video here. I got an experience behind the scenes type scenario, because I had a few ins with some of the NHRA teams because there's some dirt people and everything like that. Not Tony Stewart Racing. I got some footage of them staging and stuff like that, but I'm like, I got a badass video that I could put out about an experience at NHRA that could potentially reach a bunch of dirt track people, that could get them interested in possibly attending or tuning in to a NHRA event. But I got to show the Lions attacking the Gazelle. You know, this whole, I told her, I was like, this whole pit video, staging video, you know, this is like going to the zoo. You know, it ain't nothing special about looking at a lion sitting there behind the cage. What's interesting is the jungle. And that is the lion attacking the gazelle. And in NHRA, that is burnouts, and that is 3-second, 300-mile-per-hour runs. And if you can't show that, if I can't show that, then I'm not going to take 2 days of my time to produce a video for y'all, for me, that's really not going to, for one, like I told her, not be fair judgment of what an NHRA experience may be, but also at the same time, I don't want to take 2 days of my time and put something out that ain't the lions attacking the gazelle, you know. That's how I feel about it. So hopefully NHRA, you know, they give me this permission. I got an email. I'm waiting on them to respond back. But it is pretty badass, I will say. For basically, I don't know who's been around a bomb going off, but it's basically a bomb going off from 3 to 6 seconds. And that's pretty much what it's like right in front of you. Before we get off that topic, all you independent creators out there and people, this is a potential situation that is coming to dirt track racing the bigger and bigger this thing does get. Flow Racing could come to the independents and say, you can't take video. We got the streaming rights. You know, we got the rights to the on-track activities. You can film them staging, walking around, but you can't film the gazelle attacking the lion. That's what we're paying for, is the gazelle attacking the lion. You know, and streaming companies very interesting. Another interesting thing that I got to experience at NHRA, and really it made me reevaluate dirt track racing overall. I was sitting in a traffic jam for about 3 hours. About 3 hours. And I got there. I was heading that direction, actually, at about 8:30. And I didn't really park until about 11, 12. So about 3 hours. And while I'm sitting in this traffic jam, 6 miles, bumper to bumper, I'm like, holy shit. It's over. It's over. This whole idea, this whole thought that I have that dirt track racing needs to go to this mainstream level. And it needs to get this recognition, and everybody needs to tune in, and you know, this dirt world would be so much better off financially, the sponsors, the front gate, the front gate mainly, for weekly racing more so than national. Just the attention, the recognition of the sport going up would get a lot of people to come to the tracks. And, you know, 50,000 people at a dirt track race, you know, all this stuff would be awesome. But I'm sitting there, and I'm in this traffic for 3 hours, and my car's blowing up. I'm pretty much done. I'm not gonna travel anymore pretty much after this. I'm surprised I got back here from Florida. My car's freaking sitting there smoking its ass off. I got something wrong with it, but 400,000 miles, guys. I took care of her as good as I could. Regardless, I'm like, it's over. This is the end of the idea. Because this NHRA thing had about 30,000 people at it. And it's a 3-hour traffic jam. And I'm sitting there thinking of all these World of Outlaw events where there's 10,000 people or 5,000 people, stands-wise. which is the majority of an outlaw event. And it's just a huge traffic jam, for one. And most of the tracks don't have parking space. You know, and what I'm saying is that dirt track racing doesn't have the infrastructure for mainstream attention. Let's just say Jonathan Davenport goes out in this NASCAR race and wins it. Very big long shot. He's definitely talented enough to get it done. Let's just say he's talented enough to get it done. He's lucky. He does the simulator enough. He gets some kind of feel, which, in my opinion, the one thing that's going to hold JD back is he doesn't have a lot of experience in different fields of race cars. If this was a Ricky Thornton Jr. or a Dallin Murdy or you know, just another guy who's kind of jumped into different fields of race cars, you know, right front field versus right rear field, left rear field, wings on, wings off. And Ricky Thornton Jr.'s got a non-wing sprint car win in Arizona, you know, and then IMC stock cars, IMC modified, super late models. I mean, Ricky Thornton's micros, midgets. He's got all these different fields. So the thing I think that's going to hold Jonathan Davenport is he's been in this late model, and he's been kicking ass in this late model, but this field in this late model is very similar. It's the same. I'd almost throw Tim McCready into the mix. I'd have a little bit more optimism. But Jonathan Davenport's still a bad mother you-know-what. I still think that he is going to perform extremely well. But let's say he goes out there and kicks their ass. And now dirt track racing, not only on a national level, but a weekly, just the sport is so in the dark. Y'all don't understand how in the dark this sport is. And let's say Jonathan Davenport gives it that respectable light. And now 50,000 people want to come to your racing event. What track right now in America, dirt racing facility, can hold 50,000 people? I think Eldora is registered as like 22,000 it can hold. I think Knoxville's registered at like 26 or 7. Port Royal, maybe, could hold 20-ish. But what facility? Let's just say, how many facilities can hold 20,000? How many facilities have the parking, the restrooms, the concessions? Dirt track racing doesn't have the infrastructure to hold mainstream attention right now. And this is tying into the streaming, because I say, you know, if that national recognition does happen, and say that people want to start coming to dirt racing events because they finally heard about them, and respect the drivers, because this comes down to respect. There's no one that can hold mainstream respect right now or attention outside of maybe Eldora, maybe Knoxville, maybe Port Royal. And the reason I say this is a streaming situation is because if that mainstream attention does hit, all these dirt tracks out here complaining and whining about streaming, thinking about fans, all of a sudden you're going to have streaming. Your track is going to have streaming to even be able to get new people to even be allowed to watch it, because there's going to be nowhere to even park. Most of the racetracks would have to reject people because they don't have the infrastructure. Now, one of the main lines that I've always said is, and when I got into this on this whole mission that I've been on for 5 years, is that I remember, you know, I worked at the Devil's Bowl Speedway, and the promoter at that time, legendary track owner and promoter, co-promoter of the Chili Bowl, a man named Lanny Edwards. We were talking about fans and marketing, and he gets pretty saucy when he gets to talking, and he's like, "Turn around, Chaz. Look at these stands right here," and there's a big section in turn 3 and 4 that extend, and it extends pretty high, and Devil's Bowl's probably the outside of Texas Motor Speedway. Maybe these NASCAR tracks, sorry, I forgot about maybe Texas Motor Speedway and Charlotte and Las Vegas could maybe hold 20,000, or these, little satellite dirt tracks at NASCAR facilities. Maybe those could hold big crowds, but in parking. He said, I didn't build those additional stands right there because I wanted them. I built them because I needed them. Because at one point in time, dirt track racing used to be popular and respected and was labeled weekly as professional auto racing. Plan on doing a video about how, that's all went away now. So in the perfect scenario, you would have to build stands, but you'd have to be getting in revenue to build those stands. Now, of course, those stands that I was just referencing with Lanny Edwards, those are empty on a weekly basis. Barely fill them. World of Outlaws come there, gets close to filling them. But so you're going to have to depend if this dirt thing gets the mainstream attention that I think everybody kind of wants, including myself. I just had this realization of the infrastructure of the sport. You're going to have to depend on streaming for people to even watch it. Or you could raise your ticket prices, which you haven't had to do for a long time. And everybody can, oh my God, tickets are already so expensive. It's $75 to park at some football games. $75. And then you may outprice the little guy, the regular guy who wants to bring his family. You may outprice him if it becomes too mainstream. And now he has to go and watch it on the stream. And that's what NASCAR did through their mainstream influx that they got to experience. And then they got away from their fan base, and they're in a situation. So it's yin for yang. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to streaming and these tracks bitching about streaming, and I'm losing a fan here, a fan there, that fan, track promoter, that you're losing because streaming is there, is a fan you don't even need at the racetrack. This is the fan that is down the street or within 20 to 30 minutes driving, or even 45 minutes driving distance from your race facility, that is choosing to watch it on streaming versus coming to your track, is a fan you don't need at your facility. You don't need that guy. That guy isn't going to buy, I would say a salad, but we don't have great food at racing facilities. He's not going to buy your crappy-ass hot dogs. He's not going to, the most healthiest thing on the menu, he's not going to buy popcorn. He ain't going to buy the Diet Coke. He ain't going to buy your T-shirts that you're selling. He ain't going to buy the driver's T-shirts. This is a cheap-ass cheapskate that you don't even, and actually, streaming is helping you keep those people out of your facility. Because you don't need those people. And I think we're in a very interesting scenario right now where there's this streaming, all competition and blah, 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 blah. I'm telling you right now, the things that Davenport's doing in the dirt late models, the people on this national scene, what they're doing in prepping, is going to be very important. Very important. And it's going to increase the awareness of the sport. And when it goes up, you're going to need streaming really, really bad. And hopefully when we get to that point, even weekly racing and stuff, getting all this influx in money, then we can raise our weekly purses, and our national purses aren't just, $100,000 to win because we're trying to get a driver. They're $100,000 to win because we have the front gate that can pay for that purse. That's one of the reasons everybody complains that the payouts haven't rose since the 90s on a weekly or national basis, even sometimes, especially on the sprint car side. But that's because we lost the fans. The front gate fell away. Weekly, the front gate went down. Therefore, the promoters started pulling it from the back gate and started up in pit pass money. And that's how they were supplementing the purse to where it turned a professional sport and weekly racing action into a hobby, because the payments on the entry in the back gate is what was even paying the purses to begin with. So losing that respect and recognition in the 90s and this sport slowly declining from the societal awareness is what got it to where we were 5 or 6 years ago. It's on the rise now. But this is scenarios where, you get these people back at your racetracks weekly, then you can start paying bigger money. And then maybe it's a profitable thing and we can have car owners again and it can all work how it used to work. But I do think a situation like Jonathan Davenport's is going to make it very interesting. Now, there was some posts going around calling Jonathan Davenport a hillbilly. And this is a very interesting situation where they were saying, keep these hillbillies out of NASCAR. Can't believe NASCAR is allowing these hillbillies to come and race. Now, since that 90s era where everybody was recognized on national media outlets, like you had sprint car racing on ABC, till now, we kind of lost the societal touch. So people don't really know what we are, what we do, and they think of it as hillbillies now. Now, one of the side kickers to that is we have had a very, very big event that happens every single year. And the examples that have come from that event are not necessarily beneficial to the image of a professional dirt track racer. Why might the general society be calling Jonathan Davenport a hillbilly? What has made people think that? Charlie? What has made people think that? Tyler? Hey Dudes in Victory Lane? Jerry Springer on Twitter? Flipping this thing, laughing and joking about it, junket, ha ha ha. If you're general society and on this big giant stage, that's getting all this attention because nothing else is racing. And these are the examples coming from that one race when no one else is racing and everybody's getting to see what you are, the amplification. Then that might lead to a few people calling this dirt track racing or calling Jonathan Davenport a hillbilly based on the examples, the representation of those actions. Now, see, everybody got pissed off at me when Charlie Mefford and I had my opinion on it and all that, but this is the repercussions of it. You're representing the sport. Now, this sport don't get a lot of recognition, but when you're on this big stage like the Gateway situation, and these are the examples that we're providing to the public of what we are, these are the hit pieces that gets all the views. Well, maybe that's how people think Jonathan Davenport's a fucking hillbilly. Everybody laughs, oh, it's just all good. And I was all serious. Like I said, half of me thinks it's funny. Other half of me sees it for what it is. You know, I was all up and down the South, went to a couple different places, and went into a shop, very reputable race car driver, star of the sport. And that subject of Charlie came up, and it was around this hillbilly discussion. I was like, well, this is why. That's what I was trying to call out, guy. That's what I was trying to say. I mean, these are the types of things that the enemy is taking and using to smear this sport, to make it look like a bunch of hillbillies. Because hillbillies don't get no respect. Now, what a hillbilly is what you want it to be. That's fine. But in my viewing of the public domain and what that guy meant to be when he called Jonathan Davenport a hillbilly, it's a derogatory term. You can almost say it's N-word-esque. Sort of like the grassroots movement, but that's already went. We got a new subject up now. We got a new word that is labeling everybody. And I was talking to this driver, and he goes, man, I watched that video, what you said with Charlie, and you were just saying what all of us out here are saying. He said, I turned to my wife and said, can you believe this shit? And when you said what you said, you know, nobody, he goes, I didn't share it. I didn't promote what you were saying, but we saw enough people were seeing what you were saying. And we're just glad that you were saying it. But we also saw all the bullets that were flying at you for you telling the damn truth to this community. The problem is I'm the only damn one that's ready for the smoke. Everybody else is scared of the damn smoke. Because I actually care about the sport. You know, and when he said that, he's like, you don't know how much detriment that is to us out here doing it right and putting in the work. And I was like, you know, you kind of sound like the modern independent woman. You know, you want to go out, or, and this is not a derogatory way of phrasing it. You sound like the modern independent woman who's going out there, busting her ass 9 to 5, trying to give some self-respect, to make it on their own, to show, you know, I can do it. I'm putting in the work. Now, you ain't getting paid, and you ain't getting all this attention, but you're putting in the work. And that situation that happened at the Gateway deal is the stripper on the pole. It got all the attention. But it's real easy to show your ass. He didn't really have much else to say about that. Just nod his head. Because it's true. It's so sad that people think that we are just a bunch of fucking hillbillies. And then, the other thing that gets all the glamour and attention. Shovels over the damn head. Apparently, down there at Southern Raceway, shovels over the head. A couple weeks ago. The fights, you know, I'm not really against the Overton Madden chest bumping incident. That was a little professional between drivers on, you know, a little bit. Obviously, if you want to put that shit in the hillbilly section of the framing, what I would call it, framing this sport as that, you could. But I don't really think that is the case. But I do see an issue with the G.R. Smith and Ashton Winger scenario. Now, here's what I saw, and here's what I think. And I've had to think about this for a minute, buddy. Because I want to get this right. Because there's a lot of damn things to say about this topic and scenario. Once again, framing and images. G.R. Smith has a bit of a history doing this with the wreckings and somehow or another scuffling up with someone on the racetrack. My video where he got into it with Kyle Larson at Bristol a few years ago is all of a sudden kicked up with comments and likes and views just because of this scenario with him and Ashton Winger. Now, Ashton Winger is a very aggressive driver. He is I would say, like a Bobby Pierce in his beginning stages. He kind of pulls those Bobby Pierce moves, but doesn't really have the experience to pull them clean or as clean as Bobby Pierce, because Bobby Pierce still makes some mistakes. They're both aggressive. They're both sprint car drivers in late models, technically. It's how they drive the car. They're pulling sprint car moves in late model racing. It's exciting for fans, but drivers and teams kind of like it, kind of don't. But this instance with G.R. Smith, he goes in there and doors him, and then Smith throws Winger throws a slider. We've all seen this scenario. I'm not even going to talk about the fighting and all this shit. I'm not going to talk about what Winger did right or anything. Now, the mistake that happened on one side of the scenario, obviously, is when Ashton's dad entered the Smith hauler and a weapon was used. And I hope, for Ashton's sake, because I've been contacting him, you know, he's being quiet on the scenario, and I think that's the smart way to go about it. I wouldn't be smart. I've always said, if somebody ever sues me, if y'all want to take me down the legal route, then, hey, get ready for, you know, Johnny Depp trial. It's going to be every day. I'm going to be live in the courtroom, leading up, walking out. We going to be having a show. You know, you ain't just going to bully me around with your money. But that is exactly what is happening here. So, we had us a little person. We were in the zone, and then they want to ruin it all the time. Good old women in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Good old women. Love you all of a sudden. Ruining the mojo, ladies and gentlemen. Now she'll hit me later and say, you know, whatever. But the issue in the situation, I was really in the zone there. I'm really on topic right here, because when the weapon gets involved, you have a situation that's going to be very know, possibly going to cause a lot of issues long term because, from my understanding, J.R. Smith is very well funded. But that's also the issue here. The issue, and I hope that, and I've saw people talk about police and all this getting involved. I hope that track promoters and people out there in series see what just happened and really start policing the drivers on the track and at your racing series and weekly events. Or the police, these types of situations will increase. Now, look, I was in track management. I know how this works. And I've seen J.R. Smiths at racetracks across the country. This is a pandemic situation. You know, the one negative about dirt track racing and me trying to go out there and say they're the best in the world, there is no vetting of drivers. You know, if you just show up with the paycheck, you can race. If you could go buy a 410 sprint car right now and buy the hauler and buy everything that's out there, you could show up to the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series the next week and show up and pay your entry fee and go out there and race with Bill Rose. You can go out there and get you a super late model operation, and you could show up to the World of Outlaw or Lucas Oil Series next week and go out there and start trading sliders at the back. I don't know who you're going to be with. It could be anybody. They got 60 guys over there that are badass, and probably be back there trading sliders with J.R. Smith. So we are amateur in that element of the sport. And we should give guys opportunity. You know, NASCAR's the same thing. If you have $15 million, you can go run the Daytona 500. So they don't have really necessarily an argument. There is kind of, in a way, no form of professional motorsports because you can logistically just buy your way there. But when a guy, and like I said, I've seen this at weekly racing. I've seen it in every part of the country. And this is back to bullying. There are guys out there who can afford super late models and race cars. And they know they're getting on the track with people who can't. They know they're getting on the track with people who don't have a lot of money, who can't just buy race cars over and over again. But they can. And they know it. And they get out onto that racetrack and they bully other racers on the speedway. And they junk their shit when they get a little sad and pissy because they got, you know, a boss mentality. This is what it's called, a boss mentality. I do what I tell you, you do it, I get what I want, I pay for it. It's a boss mentality. And when they don't get what they want, they start throwing shit and firing people, and they're firing race cars into the side of other people. Because they're sad and upset. And they don't know how to contain it because they haven't had anyone tell them what's right or wrong. I hope that this is an example for those out there. Even I don't want to say another person on YouTube, Dirt Tracker, said that J.R. Smith should find something else to do on the weekend. I think that that's of the same belief of what I'm saying, except I'm saying track officials, track promoters, series directors, you all know what I'm talking about. You all know that there's some guys out there that shouldn't be out there. And the only reason they're out there is because you want an entry fee and 4 or 5 pit passes every week. Because you're struggling on the front end of the business. Back to the whole issue here. You know, there's a big web of effects here. Especially in the weekly racing scene. They don't want to lose that, you know. That's paying half the purse almost, you know, for some of these guys. But this is a situation where a J.R. Smith, you've had tryouts for a long-ass time. And you're not making the cut. You know, there are guys who have the money who can come out here and perform well and race with respect and do it the right way. And then there's people out there just bullying people around because they got the money to do it. And the track official series and directors and everybody don't band together to get rid of these people. If you don't police the drivers, then the police are going to get involved. The drivers are going to be policed. So that's where I stand on the situation. Not just G.R. Smith. This ain't singling you out. I've talked to you before. You got a little. You can take a car around the track pretty fast. I mean, some of these cars are set up so damn good that you can do that. But there are guys out there that really need lessons taught to them. And I don't think they're going to get, you know, some of these guys are so financially set that they're not ever going to learn. And the only way we can actually do something about it is technically getting rid of them. Banning them for the season. I saw G.R. Smith is out indefinitely with Southern All-Stars. Why is he able to race anywhere? Why isn't Lucas Oil? Why isn't World of Outlaws? Why haven't XR Super? Everybody who saw this is detrimental to the sport, obviously, what he's doing, his example that he's done. Why is it okay for this guy to have a place to race at all? Who out there really needs that entry fee and pit pass money that damn bad? And this is a situation where we have to start recognizing this. Not just for G.R. Smith, but across the damn country. I knew a guy at the track I was at shouldn't be on the track because he's bullying people. He's running guys over. It's a weekly racing scene. He's running guys over, bullying them on the racetrack because he's got the money to fix his car and he knows the other guy don't. And everybody's scared to walk up in the trailer and whoop his ass because they know he's got the money for the big lawyers to put him away. And you know he ain't going to get no justice served because the justice system ain't got no justice within it anymore. So there's a lot of people. This example that happened here, this needs to be across the damn board. There's a lot of G.R. Smiths out there right now that need to be out. And you people who know racing, who are involved in these tracks and are involved in these series, you know exactly what we're talking about. You know who I'm talking about. You got a guy right now at your local track who's exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, that would, if I was to write it down and what it would be, either police the drivers or the drivers will be policed. And you will have a shitstorm on your hands 2 weeks or a month ago with some damn shovels, and now you got police and hammers and stuff. And now a judge is going to drop the hammer, and now the society around us is judging the sport. And now the image that we are fighting, in my opinion, of us all being a bunch of damn hillbillies after you can't park here's and this and that and Jerry Springer Twitters and all this stuff. Now you got shovel guy and police guy, and now and now we're just a bunch of we're Jerry Springer in itself. And all you people who don't understand how big of a deal this respect and reputation of dirt track racing affects it monetarily, you people ain't just y'all ain't studied enough. Then y'all don't know psychology at all. It's psychological warfare. And when you're dealing in media, you know what that's all about. You know, that's why I say, Jeff Gordon and Cole destroyed the whole damn sprint car scene. Nobody wanted an orange Toyota Supra or a black Dodge Charger until Fast and the Furious came out. Nobody wanted to be a sprint car driver in NASCAR until Jeff and Cole and everybody did their gig. My best example of that's Ken Schrader. Ken Schrader went to NASCAR as a sprint car guy. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared. Don't know how Cole and Ken ended in turn 4 on the door of the Man in Black, but that's a whole nother story. Whole nother story. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of my opening segue, opening segment. I don't know who's even watching. I don't know if we do have viewers. Maybe everybody's tuned out by now. Oh, yeah, we got some dumbasses in there. It don't affect the on-track product. Some people are just idiotic. Maybe I need to go in here and respond to some of these people. Hold on. We got to move this whole comment section around. It's been a minute since we checked it on out. Hold on. We got a little on-screen. You get live editing right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. All right. Here we go. Right here, bro. We do have the number. If you'd like to call me a dumbass. Call me this or the other. We do have a number on the screen if you would like to call in. I'm not sure how well the call-in is going to work. I hope it does work, but that is the number 424-250-1313 if you would like to comment on any of the things that I've said here so far. But that's kind of my opening segue, segment, soliloquy, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I think, and there's a lot more to that. I just ain't gonna go into it right now. Looks like we got Justin McNabb from Marysville. Vlobber. Let's see here. We'll just we'll keep the call in up there. We'll see if we get anybody who most of the time people are scared to call in and talk. The DRC. I don't know. Dirt Racing Connection. Maybe a bunch of nobodies. Dean Henry says, "Hey Chaz. Hey, tell those freaking those Dirt Nerds podcast guys that they might want to check the payout at Huset's, because they were talking about like weekly payout and where's the best places to be. They're definitely, jacked up on how good their little Fremont Attica series is. But Huset's is pretty damn high from my understanding. Some people said amen Chaz. I don't know, maybe this racing thing's getting so pathetic. I'm close to just doing Christian music and calling it a day. Paul Clayton said GR and GW. Oh, we got us a caller. Oh, God, that's loud. Oh. Ow. Hello, is anyone there? Oh my God, and then they're not even here. In call. It says in call. Hold on. Let me check the settings here. Hold on. Don't hang up on me. We got a little bit. Oh, they hung up. I think it was something on their end though. That is too loud. We got to mute notifications. Oh my God. I don't even want to know what or how loud that was for y'all guys, but that had to be really, really bad. Okay. All right. I think we're good on the notifications. We'll try calling them back. Maybe that'll work. All right. Let's see here. See if we can call them back. Maybe it's not going to work. I would have liked to have it call in, but maybe it's not going to work. Okay. I guess not. We may have to call calls or cancel calls altogether. Let's see here. Let's read some comments. Oh, we got us an incoming call. All right. Hello.
Hey, Chaz, how are you?
How's it going? Who we got calling in?
This is Jake from Missouri. How are you?
All right. Jake from Missouri. So what's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I watched your show. I'm a big fan. You hit it 100%. I've been local dirt track week in, week out for 30 years. I have seen people say what you...
Oh. What the heck? That was a great caller. Freaking things here. Sorry about that. We got disconnected.
Can you hear
me? We should be okay now. Go ahead. I heard you
All
say,
right.
you've seen, continue. Sorry, yes.
Weekly racers say, I will wreck you every week. It doesn't matter. I have an unlimited checkbook.
Those are the guys I'm talking about, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pathetic. And it's people that on the national scene that have said that have got there because of their checkbook. And there's weekly guys in all over that could beat those guys week in, week out if they had the same resources. The result is they don't, and it's too bad.
Yeah, it is pretty sad to see how guys just, and like I said, there's a guy at every local racetrack that we know of that is just like a GR Smith, who has the funds and ability to just, when I'm mad and I want to, wreck somebody just because I'm mad, I can do it. And I can pay for it, and I don't really care.
And that's the thing with dirt track racing, right? They don't have rear view mirrors. People do make mistakes, honest mistakes, and other people, they get frustrated when people shouldn't be running with them as they think, and that's when it happens.
Okay. Well, is that pretty much all you wanted to say? Just a little, you like watching the show and you wanted to comment, and that's about it?
No,
How do you feel about what
absolutely.
Logan Martin did? Apparently, a bunch of people are mad at Logan Martin. That's a Missouri guy. They feel he went down there at Boot Hill last lap and kind of ran the dude over, because he's got the money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I'm originally from Minnesota, Chaz. And
Okay.
so I'm like not far from Fargo, North Dakota, Donnie Schatz, Arrow with the World of Outlaws and Wissota country. So I'm just kind of learning the Missouri side of things. I-55, I don't live far from there, so I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm only a couple hours from Knoxville. I've been there, so I'm kind of in the hotbed. I'm really excited. Logan Martin, yeah. I mean, he's a good regional guy. I know he's trying to make a name for himself. I can't fault anybody for like that trying to win a race, but if it's week in, week out because of a money issue, then I have problems.
Well, and I feel like you don't really see this as much in sprint car racing because of the life-death scenario. Like, when's the last time a guy
100%.
literally died in a late model? I mean, seriously, like because of a wreck. I mean, it might have happened. I'm sorry if someone did recently just randomly die and they got in a big wreck and they died, but most people feel safe.
Yeah, the last guy I can think of was that poor gentleman at Eldora 5-6 years ago, right? That's the last guy that I can remember that had passed away. Sprint car wise, yeah, it's a different animal. You referenced Bill Rose and guys like that. I know guys. I had a buddy of mine that in Minnesota just trying to fill the show at the World of Outlaws at North Central Speedway in Brainerd. He had a 360. He got lapped in 2 laps, going to get run over. And I said, well, what are you doing? He's like, well, this is the only chance I can do this, I get it, but at the same time, there are guys that should not be out there. Well, and so I 100% agree with you.
Well, right. And unfortunately, there are still, like, I see a lot of, I see this type of attitude in sprint car racing more so on the West Coast of the United States. And I think that is because it's quarter mile racing. Over there on those quarter miles, you can get away with dumping a guy more than likely, versus Port Royal or Williams Grove. You bring that mentality, or Knoxville, it's not going to end well for anybody. You could kill somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I've watched the West Coast racing on Flow. At the end of the day, I'm a big half-mile guy. I'm the old West Fargo when it was on TNN. When you alluded to sprint car racing being in prime time 20 years ago, West Fargo was one of the mainstays. That was a huge weekend on TNN. And those guys, you get run over. You know what I mean? They're going so fast.
Right.
At the end of the day, I understand the California and the Kyle Larson side of things, way out there. But at the end of the day, racing is racing, right? And people need to respect that. At the end of the day, it's not an equal playing field. Everybody knows that. That's why it's called racing, right? And at the end of the day, you can't be a bully. I think there's way too many bullies out there, and they need to be policed. So I agree with you 100%, sir.
Now, what about my comments on the hillbilly representation in reference to the Mefford examples, the Carpenter example, which Carpenter's not as bad, but it is still, hey dudes, and there was still a fallout on Twitter where they had, basically Jerry Springer within their own.
Absolutely.
That is, and it's on such a grand stage. That's more so the issue that I have with Mefford. It wasn't like it was go do that shit at Fairbury on a Saturday night when nobody's paying attention. This is on a stage that's representing the damn sport. Unfortunately for the late model guys, it's not the Chili Bowl where there's racing happening. It's clean. It's highly competitive. There's the stars are there. They don't really, they bring stars to the Gateway deal, but everybody in the sport is looking at it kind of like a joke because the track's just a flopper scenario. It's all rutted. Everybody's just slamming the wall. Within the sport, people are looking at it as a joke, and even that scenario and even the Carpenter, it's all just fun and fandom. But the regular world, that is what they're getting to see because of the stage that event is drawing. That is representing modified and late model racing to the world at that time of the year. And that may be the only time when another former fan is going to watch late model or modified racing because their seasons are all done. It's in December, So what about your opinions on that?
Well, my opinion on that is obviously Gateway. I'm only an hour from that event. It's a great event, right? And it was a great thing for Nice Motorsports to give Carpenter or whoever won that race the opportunity a couple of years ago to be a part of the truck series, right? But at the end of the day, you're right. The grandest stage, and we did look not good. I had to laugh, honestly, right?
Well, I mean, I said, half of me sees it funny, but the other half of me that knows the media and the marketing.
You're right.
And then,
yep.
That's the part of me that really hates it to the fact, because I know that it's situations like that as to why the population, the society is calling Jonathan Davenport a damn hillbilly.
Right. You can't compare, unfortunately, the people that know racing, right, in our world. You can't compare Tyler Carpenter to Jonathan Davenport. However, the national scene will see that when he gets his opportunity. The world don't know any better.
Right.
No, but they will, right? And that's what we have to hope. We know Jonathan Davenport isn't going to be that. I hate to say the word unprofessional, but that was very unprofessional of Tyler, right? But at the same time, I had the same sentiment as you. It was funny, right? And everybody's like, yeah, But at the same time, when you see it a week later, you're like, son of a bitch, that's embarrassing.
Well,
right?
I took the smoke for the Charlie Mefford situation. What did you think of that one?
I'm not going to lie to you. I think you're dead on. I thought Charlie was very genuine, right? That was genuine, right? And people that follow racing know that. The people from outside, they don't know what dirt racers from goddamn 4 cylinders all the way to dirt late models have to go through, and what a week looks like, or a season even looks like. There's been documentaries, right? There's been things that you can follow, but if you follow
the best documentary for dirt racing, unfortunately, has been done by CNN, which most people in dirt racing hate because of politics.
Yeah, and I saw that, right? That was those guys out in Georgia. That was pretty cool. That was like 20 years ago, I think, and it was awesome. And that was the most true that we've ever had. Right. I mean, Flo does a good job and all these people. I understand that. But like, you have worked at these places. I've worked at a track. I've driven cars. I've owned cars. It's a totally different thing to try to make it week in, week out. Right. And then to go back to the beginning of this conversation, when people can take you out and will wreck you weekly because they have the money, that's a major problem in our sport.
Yeah, and it causes bullying. It causes bullying. I don't want to be bullying on Charlie or Tyler either, but like I said, I'm concerned with the growth of the sport, making it more mainstream, reaching. I'm not a streaming company. I'm not trying to reach the dirt fans so that they buy my subscription to watch the race. My concern is reaching newer people to grow the sport overall. And when you're reaching newer people, those examples are not going to garnish you any respect or recognition. It's just going to get you labeled a bunch of hillbillies driving around in circles, which is not what this sport is.
No, and 100% going to the Knoxville Nationals, going to the Eldora Million twice. I see that, right? Like, I understand that. We will get those fans. I think Jonathan Davenport is a perfect person for that. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, however that turns out, he's going to get the recognition. I mean, obviously, I followed you for a few years now. I know Kyle Larson has obviously brought people to dirt, right? I get that.
Well,
and that's not all.
I was just going to say that's not necessarily good that we're dependent on Kyle Larson to bring us fans.
100%, because you know what? I think Donnie Shots is the best thing ever. I really do.
Right.
But
we're still depending on Coach Trickle.
Yeah. No, I get it, Chaz, like 100%. And what I like about what you do and your show and the what you try to do is you tell the truth. And even if I don't agree with you 100%, and there are times, but you know what? I get a chuckle and I see your point. And that's what America is missing, right? We can't, it's either this way or that way, right? We're not going to bring into politics, but that's the truth.
Well, we can bring in the politics if it's Trump. You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just can't bring any other politics in. It's a very small-minded mentality, but I don't hate Trump or dislike or like or not. I don't like politics in general. I just saw one side take over the entire community, which is very scary in itself.
And that's what's happened on many levels, right?
Yes.
Even on the dirt racing, that's happened, and sanctioning bodies are a part of that. Like, let me tell you, Wissota, I know you were there last year. You went to
a little bit.
Tracks.
The Wissota IMCA war is very interesting to me, but go ahead.
It is. No, it's a monopoly, right? Like IMCA, as far everything I've ever known growing up was like, oh, IMCA, that's claim motors. We're not doing that, right? We're not going to put in all this time and effort and go run IMCA just to have somebody claim our stuff, right? Well, what people don't know is Wissota is built on that same model, but nobody has the balls or the courage to claim that. So they bitch about people, oh, he's got 40 grand in his motor. I get outrun every week. Well, they don't want to keep them honest because they don't want to look bad. They don't want people talking bad about them on social media or in public.
They're scared of the
smoke. They don't want to be wrong. Right.
They're scared of the 100. Smoke. Just like I'm in a shop 2 days ago or 1 day ago. One of the biggest names in the sport. You know, they 100% agreed with my Charlie Mefford comments, but they don't want to share it. They don't want to like it because they're scared of what they see me getting. Everybody sees what I do, and they see this negative reaction from all these people, and they're scared. You know? And
and I don't disagree with you, Chaz, like 100%. But on the same side, right, when I've been in that position, not obviously on that level as Charlie or JR or Winger or any of these guys, I'm not at that level. But, you know, the raw emotion, I appreciated that. You know, that's just coming from the grassroots kind of guy that I am. But I understand nationally, it's like, holy balls. Like, what is this hillbilly
What
doing?
do you, I feel like this, I feel like the Kyle Larsons of the world have at least given the sprint car racer respect. Like, I feel like if it was David Gravel who got this opportunity, there wouldn't be no Hillbillies. You know, Chris Wyndham was at the dirt race last year. You didn't hear this Hillbilly label. You know, I've consistently said that one of the biggest problems.
You wouldn't hear that.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't hear that with Donnie Shots either, right?
You didn't. You didn't hear that. And I've always said, and I've tried to explain it to late model people. I was in a couple of shops this last week. I was talking to one of the car builders, another shop I went to. I was like, one of the biggest late model car builder, and I said one of the biggest issues in sprint car racing is that the fan base of sprint car racing cheers for a driver who doesn't race sprint cars, and I call it the Trickle effect. Jeff Gordon. However you want to see it. You could say Trickle is based on Tim Richmond, but he's from Ohio, went to IndyCar, did all this other stuff. Trickle was a sprint car driver from California, didn't have the money to go to Indy and went to NASCAR. That sounds way more similar to Jeff Gordon. Although, Jeff Gordon was 1994, the movie was 1990, but Hendrick Motorsports did fund both the movie and Jeff Gordon. But the biggest,
funny, isn't it? That's really funny.
You don't even know. It goes way deeper than that because it was Ken Schrader that took over the 25 car for Richmond, I believe.
I do remember that. Yes,
and that's my greatest example. That's my greatest example of the Trickle effect is because Ken Schrader was prior to that, and no one cared. Like it was still all about Swindell and Kinzer when Schrader went to NASCAR. Nobody cared. It was still about the sprint car star. And
well,
unfortunately,
I don't think anybody cared when Blaney went. I don't, you know, we know Ryan, right? But nobody knows that Dave was.
Well, we like
running.
to see the winners, you know, which we like winners. People like winners. Dave didn't get no winning. If he would have won, I mean, I was cheering my ass off at Atlanta when he was in the Amco car when the whole rear end fell out. You know, I was cheering for Dave Blaney to win that race. But what I'm saying is the stars of the sprint car industry since that time, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, now Kyle Larson. These are all the same characters. They're just a different name. And if you think about NASCAR, their popularity when it surged then, it's been the same since then. That's why they rerun the same cars from the 90s era. The 2-car of Rusty Wallace, you know, all these 24s and 3s and all this. But regardless, the late model industry does have the fan base supporting its drivers. It still has. Their biggest
100%.
names is not Tyler Reddick. Their biggest names are the drivers, and that's why I believe that they got so many fans that'll go out to watch the races, support their drivers, you know, have so much independence. It's just so much bigger than sprint car racing as far as fans are concerned. But the mainstream
100%.
attention, the mainstream respect for sprint car racing is so much more than late model racing, I think, because of that effect. You know, the Kyle Larsons. In the NASCAR regular mind, they've heard of these great drivers coming from sprint car racing. You rarely hear about Tyler Reddick being referenced as a late model driver. I mean, he didn't do it much, but you rarely hear about it.
100%. And I go back to Steve Kinzer and the IROC series, right? I was younger, but that was kind of the first guy, right? That really, you know, and it was Ken Schrader. I understand that, but Steve Kinzer, he was like 10-time outlaw champion at that time, right? He's in the Quaker State 26. He's smoking Marbreds.
His IROC outing was very respectful because he had a fair shot in a fair car, and I believe it was 95 when he won at Talladega, I think. 95 or 97. I think it was 95, but he won at Talladega. Of course, Lasowski won it at Texas and won as well. But Kenny Bernstein era was a joke, I thought. And I think that was to smear dirt track racers, to smear the king of the sport, to make it look like Jeff Gordon was just... And anyone who beat Steve Kinzer on that Sunday afternoon for 7 weeks straight, think about it, they took him straight from a dirt track in a World Outlaw sprint car and put him in an experimental Kenny Bernstein startup team and gave him 7 races and said he sucked. They didn't groom him in ARCA and K&N and trucks and all this shit like they do nowadays, or Haley Deegan's or anything like that. They took him straight from a dirt track, put him in the Cup Series in an experimental startup team, and said you suck. In my opinion, that was schematic. That was to diminish the credibility of a dirt track sprint car driver and make Jeff Gordon look like he could have won 20 national championships without him ever stepping into a sprint car really and competing well at all. Wing sprint car, that is. He sucked. He got fired out of the World Outlaw ride.
And you and I both know that he was not ever going to do that, right?
We know
like
this.
Jeff
This is
Gordon
back to
couldn't do that.
This is back to what we know versus what the perception is.
Right. And that's what I love about you, right? You're on your 5-year tour of telling the truth, and promoting the dirt track scene, right? Whether good, bad, otherwise, I support that cause. That's why I called in. At the end of the day, like minds, there's more people like-minded like you and I, and you are obviously way more smarter than I am, but I've been around a long time, and I love dirt track racing, and I'll be damned if I'm going to have somebody disrespect that based on an opinion without facts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that is what the late model world needs to worry about, you know, because what I just explained with Kinzer, that is partially what they could potentially be schematically planning here with Davenport. If he goes out there and runs 15 and say Bubba Wallace runs 8th, all of a sudden in the perception, those 14 drivers who just beat Jonathan Davenport are better dirt track racers than Jonathan Davenport.
You know, and that
That's
was
the
the thing when they
perception.
did you're right, 100%. And that was the great big thing when they did the Prelude to the Dream, right? Kyle Busch was the best late model driver. Well, we all know.
Okay, so I joke at that, and I
car.
call it the Special Olympics of dirt racing. The
Yeah.
Prelude to the Dream.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That
It
was a D main.
It was very entertaining. Like I'm not gonna lie about that. You know, I felt terrible for the car owners. Like at the end of the day, you know, you have Danica out there wrecking shit. You have Jimmy Johnson, everybody, right? It didn't matter. Denny Hamlin, all these guys, they all struggled, right? And then they get out and they're interviewed Chaz, and they said, "How hard is this?" They're like, "It's freaking hard."
Right.
So, like, that's the difference, right? So, Jonathan Davenport, yeah, they can do that. They have simulators. They have the best mechanics. They have the best car builders in that world of NASCAR, right? The difference is you put a guy in like Jonathan Davenport, and you and I both know it's a huge long shot that he wins that race. But just like you said, there's a chance, and you know, I'm pulling for him 100%. And right. He is a great ambassador to dirt late model racing. Like in the interviews, everything. He's the most humble person, and he doesn't have to be humble. He can be like, you know what, I kicked everybody's ass again tonight. But he's not like that.
Right. Well,
you know, and that's what we need.
That's because he has merit in his abilities. He don't have to jump out of a car and say, hey, you know, some show my ass shit to get attention, because he gets attention for kicking ass on the racetrack. You know, but that isn't what's promoted right now. The other shit is.
But that's the society we live in, right? People want that Tyler Carpenter kind of thing. And Tyler probably did that with the hey dudes and that because he needed the attention. And this is no disrespect to Tyler Carpenter.
No, I'm not saying that. They're doing what they can, but you know, there is something to the merit of what we're speaking. You know,
100%.
There's something to the merit of what we're speaking.
I will never disagree with you on that. I agree with you the majority of the time. But at the end of the day, right, like there are so many great dirt racers from sprint cars to late models that if given that opportunity, they would be great NASCAR racers too, because that's what we say, right? NASCAR is the pinnacle. But to
that's
me,
what y'all say. I say it's a bunch of rich kids playing with themselves. That's what I say.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with that.
And they take a cow.
Thank you for the time. I really.
Okay, you gotta get out of here.
No, I don't. I could talk forever, but well, I just don't want.
Go ahead.
You know what's next?
We got some other callers. Next? I got you. There's more. I was just gonna say, you know, that they take a Kyle Larson every 20 years and make you think that it's fair. If you got the talent, you can make it there. But that's also how they sell $300,000 Keith Kuhn rides and $3.5 million truck rides. If you spend this money, you might get a shot, just like so and so did. You might get picked up like so and so did. It's a big business on hopes and dreams.
No, and there's so many guys. Like I know, I followed Steve Arpin in the Wissota ranks, right? He was, and he's doing great things right now with Longhorn, right? Yes. Modifieds, late models, they're doing great things. But him as a driver, right? Like he had to learn that. Like so, he can drive the wheels off anything. But then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? You have to be corporate now, and this is what we say, and this is what we do, and it's just way different. And I'm not like ripping on anybody, but it's just a totally different ball game. And you're right. If mom and dad or grandpa has $5 million, you can race in the third or second best series in the world that people think in NASCAR because of that money. And that's not right. They shouldn't be out there.
Well, that's why you got to get respect for the dirt racing scene and the racers. You know, I went to Warrior Race Cars a night ago or 2 nights ago, and that was the car that William Byron raced, you know, and William Byron couldn't even make laps in our race cars. I don't think Jonathan Davenport's going to look that out of place, but the difference is William Byron looked how he looked, and no one heard about it All the media companies swept it under the rug. It didn't get put on ESPN. None of this. It never got exposed at how bad he looked in our cars against our guys. When Kyle Larson finishes 8th at Eldora in a late mile or runs 11th at Votto, you ain't hearing about it. You ain't hearing about it. And when he wins, though, he's the king. He's better than all of them.
I will even go a step further, right? Alex Bowman. I give him props for trying in the 410 sprint cars. He's won some heat races. He's been up front in a dash or two with the All-Star Series. I give him props. But I guarantee you if they put a microphone in his face and they say, how hard is this compared to what you're doing now? He'll be like, yeah, not even night and day difference.
Right. We need more of those guys to say that. We need more of those guys to get a little bit more vocal. You know, honestly, NASCAR's best marketing move would be to tell the public that we don't have the best racers. Some of these guys down the street are the best. You know, they underestimate the harvesting effect. Back when they were a big damn deal, you know, there's NASCAR Southwest Region Tour races from the early 90s. I believe it was the Ron Hornaday race, where there's like 40,000 people in the grandstands to basically watch a K&N West race of today. You know, and there's all these people. Here's what I mean by this harvesting effect is local racing, when it was a big deal and drivers were respected and there wasn't all these different perceptions. Like, you remember a day when people looked at a World of Outlaw driver and a NASCAR driver as almost same level as far as talent. Like, this was a societal viewing because they viewed it on their national television networks as the same. What I mean by that 100. Is when you had local racing at these tracks being viewed that way, you had a lot of people within those cities and communities going to weekly racings every week because they viewed it as a bunch of Batmans, a bunch of real badasses. We're in America. We don't like watching Robins. We like watching number 1, fuck number 2. You know? So back then when everybody locally was viewed as a number 1, those local racing scenes were building fans. They were growing fans every single week. And when NASCAR came to town once, or World of Outlaws, or any major city, IndyCar, they were coming to towns and areas full of race fans, and they would harvest the work that the farmers, you know, grassroots a horrible term. It's not grassroots and we're the house. Fuck you. We're the farmers, and we grow the crops of these race fans. And when you come to town twice a year or 3 times a year, you are able to harvest the fans that we have created throughout the years and over these years. And ever since that weekly respect went away, ever since people don't look at your local racer as a badass superstar and they look at your local racer as some bum who wasn't good enough in the highest score of colleges, because NASCAR's taught you if you're not 18 in a truck and 20 in cup, you suck. You failed in high school. You ain't good enough. That has destroyed not only our respect, but their fan bases. The farmers of the racing world are not able to grow any crops because the farmers have no respect anymore.
There's 3 things that I want to end with to rebuttal to that, right? Like, and you'll laugh, but number 1, Dale Earnhardt, right? Who's more grassroots than anybody is Dale Earnhardt, right? That's how he raced every week, right? Then you have, and you know, he passed away, and that's when things started to change, right? I mean, 2001, that was, I wasn't an Earnhardt fan, period. I'll tell you, but I will respect that guy for what he did for racing, right? You go out there, that guy, you look at the history, what he did, he tried to grow motorsports. He tried to better himself for the ultimate, which was the Winston Cup for him, right? Number 2, Earl Baltus, he said, you know what? I see this Eldora Speedway. He kept building and building and building and adding, just like the guy that had Devil's Bowl where you worked. Like, I get that. When you said that, like, he goes, with the grandstand, he goes, I didn't want to build that. I needed to, right?
Because they had the respect. People were wanting to come. You know, Steve Kinzer won $50,000 in 1984 when Dale Earnhardt Sr. won 47 at Talladega.
Right. You know, I mean, and that's when it comes to, and then the third aspect is Knoxville. They've continually trying to grow. You and I can argue about the purse. We can argue about the sprint car racing. I'm a sprint car guy. I love dirt late models. I love street stocks. I love modifieds. But my heart is with the sprint cars. I am so excited for those guys to get that opportunity. Did they earn that opportunity? You know, that can be debated, right? It's a whole different world with sprint cars. I understand that, but Knoxville has kept that viable.
It is interesting that you bring up Dale Earnhardt, because that little harvesting farmer effect that I just talked about, you know, when those local guys used to have that professional kind of outlook by society, there was a lot of professional money that wanted to see Dale Earnhardt go up against these NASCAR fuckers that came in twice a year. And they helped put him in to that Grand National. I'm sure, I don't know this for facts, but I've seen this happen across. Tom Lorenz was a driver in Texas who got a shot at Texas Speed World because of, in my opinion, this fact that when these drivers back then were looked professionally and gained the societal respect, there's a lot of sponsorship money out there. There's a lot of small businesses and even regional businesses that are out there that don't know what a dirt track is anymore. But back then in that society, they knew it like it was normal news, like it was just regular world. It was a part of society. We're not in society anymore. We're in the dark. When we were in the light and in societal aspects, that's when you got those local guys getting shots like Dale Earnhardt Sr. and others, sponsors and people who wanted to see their David go up against the Goliaths of NASCAR and the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series. You had local guys get support to go against those dudes. We had one in Texas called Gary Wright. You know, we had a Bob Ewell, another guy that was very prominent down there. You still have that effect in Pennsylvania. You don't have it much anywhere else. But that kind of scenario not only provided tons of fans for National Series, but it also provided the opportunity to have a little local guy go up against this big national tour, and that would bring the local fans to come see what their guy could do. It was Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed, you know. It's a local
100%.
Every single week.
I grew up in the area of the Busch All-Stars. Do you remember ever hearing about the Busch All-Stars? The Kaczynski brothers, the guys that owned I-80.
Oh, okay.
They were in Nebraska. It was NASCAR weekly regional series, right? And our little track in Minnesota, we had a guy by the name of Jeff Hinkemeyer. He won like 2 years in a row, every freaking race. And these guys would come in because, you know, they were the shit. They were the real deal. And, you know, he beat them a night or two, but it was that NASCAR banner in the weekly series in the 1990s, right? Everybody related NASCAR with who? Dale Earnhardt. That is the truth of the matter. Jeff Gordon came. I'm not saying that he diminished anything. Jeff Gordon did great things. But at the end of the day, that's when it all started to change.
Well, here's what they just started going with this young gun. You know, Jeff Gordon put him on the map. That's what you've heard Darrell Waltrip say, that he expanded them outside of that region. I think that's because a movie came to life. They think it's because of a young gun, and you saw the young gun surge. And really, I think the battle of Jeff Gordon and Cole Trickle, the battle of Jeff Gordon and Dale Sr. was one of those things where in the societal aspect, once again, it was the little rich kid versus the working man. And they got so endowed with the money that was coming in that they've lost the representation of the working man. And it takes, you know, bringing these kids in at the ages that they are is detrimental in itself, because it takes 5 to 10 years to really build a true fan base in racing that you can even bring. So, the only reason they're bringing the young open wheel drivers, the Larsons and the Bells and the Stewarts, it's because they're bringing the whole damn sprint car fan base with them. All these other guys ain't bringing any other fan base with them, because they ain't raced enough on a local, regional, or national level to even encompass a fan base to bring
now
to NASCAR with them.
when we were kids, I didn't have the opportunity to race go-karts. My first car, I was 17 years old, 73 Impala. That's what we went racing with on dirt. At the end of the day, that was the best ever, right? I feel sorry, and you're going to be like, why would you feel sorry? Like, what are you saying? Braxton Bush, right? Like, he's in a bandolero right now, 6-7 years old. I mean, huge shoes to fill. Just, it's not right? Like, at the end of the day, enjoy being a kid. That's great that he has that opportunity. Would I give my kid that opportunity if he wanted to, right? But what kid at 6 or 7 years old really knows what they want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that at Cycleland firsthand. You know, I saw Cycleland. It was 180 cars there for the Kyle Larson showcase, and I'm looking at all these kids, and I'm like, man, I was there with the family who had a car, and I asked the mom, I was like, how many of these kids actually want to be here? And she said, oh, about 5 or 10. So basically you got 170 cars, kids, being forced into race cars because their daddy wants their kid to be Kyle Larson.
100%. And that's
child abuse.
Where I'm going.
How can a kid, if you want to say that a kid can't decide if they're a boy or a girl at 5 or 10 years old, or 11 or 12, whatever, how can you say that a kid can decide if he wants to bury a sprint car in a corner at 140, 50 miles an hour and throw a slider up on a damn wall and almost die doing it? How can you say that a kid can make that decision?
They can. And, you know, I am in other aspects of sports, so I see that at numerous levels, right? At the end of the day, that's where we are with society. It's not right, but it all comes full circle to what we were talking about with the grassroots or hillbilly perception. Ashton Winger, I guarantee, I know he was in a late model at like 12, 13 years old, right? I mean, you know that. I mean, these guys are in these things, and the frustration just builds, and it's not from them. Well, partly it's from them because they're the ones behind the wheel, but the pressure that is put on these guys to perform with less or more is absolutely ridiculous. And that's where we need to, as society, find that comfort zone. And we suck at that. That's the truth.
Right. And you know, that's, yeah, go ahead.
No. And that starts with our leadership, right? Like where we're at.
It starts with our examples and what we celebrate and what we think that's worthy. You know, when I was down in the South in Florida and Georgia, everybody's like, I was like, well, who do I need to pay attention to? And they're like, oh, well, there's this kid, there's this 16-year-old, oh, this 15-year-old. I'm like, look, I don't give a damn about these kids. I said, who's a 30-year-old that's whooped some ass for 5 years or 10 years and ain't got no damn recognition for it? That's who I'm trying to promote. That's who I think's a big deal. But for some reason, we all think that a 14 or 15-year-old's the biggest damn deal. And you know what's funny about that? What's hilarious about that scenario is, I don't know, there's a kid down there, and thank you. I got a fresh delivery of some seltzer water. It's really good for you. It's way better than the coffee. No, I'm just playing. Beard Vet ain't renewed their sponsorship yet. But there's a kid named Trey Mills, and he's really good. He won at Bristol in the 602 late models or anything like that. And this is just Trey Mills' example, but there's a bunch of kids in this range that their daddies or their parents have $200,000 a year to expend on racing, you know. And you've always heard the notion of we're putting every dollar we have into giving our kid a shot. And he was like 12 when he won the race, and I went to their parents. I was like, "So what do y'all want to do here?" And they're like, "Well, hopefully we can find somebody to give him a shot." And you know, I was like, "So this is all y'all? Yes, this is all y'all got to spend. Yes, this is all we got to spend. If somebody else is gonna do it. Somebody else is gonna do it. You know." And it's like, I look at situations like that, and I'm like, why in the hell? Is the scenario at hand, not only the child, do we know if they want to race or not, but there's a scenario here where the racing world wants parents and families to spend every dollar they have into getting a 14-year-old good enough or publicity enough to the point where some old man with billions of dollars is going to walk into the room and say he loves your little boy enough to give him all this money and opportunity that y'all have all sacrificed and thrown away for. And that's honestly what everyone's trying. That's the scenario that is being promoted. Epstein Island is real, buddy.
Chaz, and what really freaks me out about that
why
whole
they
deal
want that
is it kind of sounds like a Hollywood type deal, right? And that's fucked up, right? Like, let's be honest.
It's like it's closer to music and movies than it is a sport.
100%. And that's the problem, right? Like, you're 12 years old. That kid obviously has got a lot of talent. But at the same time, he probably, maybe dad's worked his ass off and has got that car just rolling great, right? At the end of the day, he's 12 years old. There's no way anybody, Jeff Gordon, Hendrick Motorsports, Denny Hamlin, any of these guys are like, yep, we're going to sign him at 12 years old.
But that's what they're doing. That is what they're doing.
I get it.
You know, when they go to these quarter midgets, I know some people in the quarter midget industry, and they have these people who are coming out and running financial background checks on quarter midget drivers. Midget drivers and their families doing financial background checks to see who they need to go and talk to.
And that's where we're at as a society. You can't justify that, right? Like, at the end of the day, that is horrible. It's not good for the kid, financially, for a family to put it all out there for a rags to riches story, right? Like, slim to none. And there are other drivers that we know that are in that high series, right? That we say NASCAR is be all. That is what we judge everything.
Well,
those drivers shouldn't be there. You and I both know that. I
understand. And outside of the Epstein joke that I just made, hopefully it's a joke. Hopefully nobody's actually doing that, although that is real.
It's real.
And it's a very vulnerable situation that I just described that is very real as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the only way they know how to make money over there anymore. Because this harvesting farming effect, the natural way of things operating that we used to have, got destroyed over greed. Got destroyed over ego. And
it goes back to the Hollywood effect, right? Mm-hmm. That I mentioned.
The cold trickle Hollywood effect.
Where we're at. The Hollywood effect. And at the end of the day, I hope, dirt racers, weekly racers, they do it for the enjoyment and pure. These guys, 95%, I would say, I think that's a safe average, a 95% know, obviously the ultimate dream would be the higher series, right? One higher series, whether you're racing super stocks, street stocks, modifieds to late models to sprint cars, right? That's the dream. But the reality is, like, I know guys that have raced, that have won and kicked ass for 20 years in their series, and I go to them, why aren't we moving up? Well, I can't afford it. It's like, okay,
well, and honestly,
they're just waiting for that golden ticket, which is not there.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yes, and we need to start idolizing the dirt racer, especially on the sprint car side, a little bit more, to where being a World Outlaw sprint car driver is an accomplishment and a lifetime achievement. Where back to where it worked, that was our scenario. Instead of it just being, if you're a NASCAR driver, you've made it. Like, why isn't a World Outlaw sprint car driver making it? Why isn't being a national late model superstar Davenport making it? It might be because you got guys like David Gravel saying they've always wanted to go to NASCAR. It might be because Davenport saying right now, I've always wanted to do this. How can people aspire to be something that people who are in those positions are aspiring to be something else?
Do you think that they would aspire to be that if we did our job,
right?
And you are doing
correct.
a great job of this, but if we did our job on the grassroots,
it's a fan base issue,
like, right, and you were talking about streaming earlier in your broadcast. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Every track, and I agree with you 100%. Every track should be like, yep, I'm on board for that. And I know a track that does streaming and their stands are half full. They're like, what the fuck? I'm like, well, what is your streaming? Well, it's more than we would have if we didn't have it times 5, so 5 times the people. And it comes down to convenience and laziness, right? I mean, that's the truth of the matter. Like, you're absolutely right. If I go to a local dirt track, am I going to buy I have 3 kids, a wife, so 5 of us. I'm going to go in there, spend $100 at the concession stands for my kids to get full, right? And then go buy 5 T-shirts. So I'm walking out of there $300. That's not logical to the everyday working man. You and I both know that.
Well,
and
it's not logical, but you technically shouldn't have to do that every single week. And we need more. We need more rotational fans. We need more fans that aren't. Any business model works on 20% diehard, 80% rotational. Like, that's the truth. Like, you think of bars, you think of movies, you think of anything, restaurants. It always operates on 20% diehard, 80% rotational. And right now, dirt track racing does not have 80% rotational. It doesn't have maybe 10.
I had to chuckle when you talked about infrastructure and parking. I've been to the biggest races in the world for the dirt racing. Eldora, Knoxville, our local show in Wissota, the Wissota 100. You are not lying when it takes an hour to go 10 feet. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Right.
We don't have the infrastructure.
At the end of the day, like, we need to figure this out. And it's only going to get worse before it gets better. The problem I have, right, is like my local county fair dirt track, right? The county fair board runs that. They can't handle more than 2,000 people. But guess what? They have a streaming service available. And that is a great thing. People that think, oh my God, streaming is terrible. That is what is keeping the sport going. Streaming is the next level. That's what we need to do. I can't go to every NASCAR race. I've never been to one. But guess what? I watch it on TV. It's no different.
Right. Right. Okay, well, we have had a few missed calls here. I guess we might as well change subject.
I'm sorry, Chaz.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're doing your job. You did a great job. I enjoyed having you on. What's your name again, sir?
I'm Jake.
Jake from State Farm in Missouri.
Jake from State Farm. I don't have khakis, but, at the end of the day, I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully we can talk again real soon.
Yeah. I definitely call in again. Talk to you next time, Jake.
Thanks. See you, Chaz. Bye.
All right, so if you have called, we just let Jake go. If you have called, I see a few on here. I could call some of them back. Let's see here. Let's see if we can call some of them back. We got a 386 number on the line, boy. 386 on the line. Damn, she fine. Sucker to me one more time. No answer. So you missed out. Let's see. 270 here. 270 area code. Could be a troll. If we get a troll, we'll hang up on him right instantly. Maybe it's showing up as private number. It could be. So if you get a call back and you called in, it showed private number. There might be a reason for that. Hello. Hello, this is, you called into the show or no?
Yeah, I put it in my phone so I could call in and talk sometime when I got time.
Okay. What's going on? You called in, obviously. Were you watching? Are you still watching or no?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name, sir? Where are you from?
I'm from Campbellville, Kentucky.
Okay. The Bluegrass Hills. What you had to say?
I just listen to him quite a bit on television, and he tries to get all this shit straightened out that's going on in the world today.
Who's that?
It's Chaz.
Oh, well, that's who's talking to you right now. I thought you was calling in to have some commentation or rebuttal.
I never thought I'd get through.
Oh, you just got through. We just called you back. You are live right now, sir, from Kentucky. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What did you want to make a comment or anything? This is the Chaz. You're live on the Chaz, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I like watching your cast on television and everything that's going on in the dirt track world.
Okay. Well, did you have any comments on the winger deal or anything out there or any of the situations?
I
enjoy your viewership. I guess we will keep on listening, keep on watching. If you want to call in again, we'll take the call.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Is there anything that you want to say before we let you go? Okay, sir. Haven't experienced that before. Sounded like an old gentleman who definitely is up for a talk, but he's listening. And maybe it's on time delay. Somebody just said that. Maybe so. We got a voicemail. Should we play a voicemail? I wonder if these voicemails are funny. Let's see here. Is it going to be like that Kid Rock album where he had that voicemail with that chick going crazy? Let's hear it.
Hey, Chaz. My name's Eric. I had talked to you on YouTube comments, and I was like a NASCAR guy for, I don't know, 30, 35 years or so, and I'm just all into the sprint cars and the dirt now. And hey, I just wanted to say hi. I love your stuff on YouTube, and I was also wondering if you're going to be in PA this weekend, because I'm going to be up at Lincoln for the Outlaws, and if you're there, it'd be cool to meet you. If not, it is what it is. Just want to say nice job, and have a good night, brother. Take care. Bye.
So, interesting email there. I guess I can, or voicemail there. I guess I can respond and say, I don't know if I'm going to be able to drive anywhere with how my car's current situation is. I think we have a cracked block scenario. I have some money. I definitely don't have money to buy another car. Some people are suggesting to GoFundMe. I'm trying to talk to some manufacturers. I've been reaching out today. So I don't want to put out a GoFundMe. You know, I already feel guilty enough asking people to sponsor me or viewers to call in and or support, you know, or send a chat or something. Oh, what happened there? Wait. Somehow we're calling right now. Okay. I don't know how this just happened, but it did. Okay, so these earbuds just interacted there. But I already feel bad enough saying, hey, send your support, join the Patreon, or, well, I don't have a Patreon, or send money on PayPal or Venmo, or join the channel membership deal here and monetary. I already feel kind of bad, even though it's the only way I'm technically going to make any money is, viewership. I can't get corporate dollars. Even though these corporate dollars, these shops support what I'm saying and what I'm standing for, they're so scared of offending somebody or anything like that. They're scared of affiliating with me at the same time. So even when I'm searching for a manufacturer to possibly partner with me to give me a vehicle to use or to help out there, that it's going to be extremely hard. So the GoFundMe option sounds like a logistical option, but then people are just going to say I'm panhandling the sport, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hear all this criticism, all this hate. I really don't want to do that. I don't know where I'm at, though, as far as the vehicle. It still runs. It still drives. I was able to get up here. But it's just, it's on the decline. Like I said, 400,000 miles. I've taken very good care of it. But we're just in a very bad situation as far as its operationals. And I just don't feel comfortable driving it across the country like I used to. So hope maybe Elon Musk will reply. Let's see. We got some other emails. No voicemails. Let's see. Maybe we could call some back here. It looks like we got the 850 to call. Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Who is calling in?
This is Jake.
From State Farm?
Afraid not from State Farm. Just from Iowa.
Okay, well, as long as you're not on delay, we're bringing the volume up. So, Jake from Iowa, you are here. Is this Jake from Ace?
No.
It is a 563 number, so you're somewhere around Decorah.
Actually, I'm originally from east side of the state. I'm over more in the middle at the moment.
Okay. Well, what did you want to call in and talk about?
Well, the whole G.R. Smith winger deal, you know, everybody's kind of saying how horrible that is that Gary took the hammer in there and all that. My question is, does he do that if the GR stuff doesn't happen?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like the original sin for me, you know, like I get that that's unhinged. Like you don't want to see that, but nobody so far, none of the commentary, none of the podcasts I've listened to, nobody's talking about, you know, maybe GR should have let up, or the track should have stepped in knowing, you know, what's gone on in the past with that guy. Like
and that's my stance is the tracks need to start policing these guys who shouldn't be on the racetrack, or the police are going to be involved. You know, that's my stance technically, is like this G.R. Smith thing should have been handled previously when he showed these types of stunts on the racetrack. You know, this isn't super late. I don't care. Yeah. You don't need your damn entry fee and pit passes that bad. If there's a guy in a premier division, like a super late model division or a 410 sprint car or something along those lines, driving like this, these tracks need to start not allowing these people onto the racing surface.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I get that. I race a go-kart up by Waterloo, and I get that in the go-kart division that we race for no money. So there's people that are literally just that bent, you know. But
it could be that type of policing could be implemented into other divisions, like the division I was talking about that I experienced, where I knew there was a guy that technically just didn't need to be on the racetrack. He's bullying people around because he's got the money to destroy his shit. He's in a sport modified, you know, but he shouldn't be on the track anymore. You know, there's some people that should be car owners exclusively. Of course, that Peyton Freeman, who was driving for GR, he's out of his car now. He's backed out. Good decision by him. But I definitely do think that the tracks need to start policing who they allow onto the facilities and onto the racing surface.
Yeah, they got to get better at using the black flag, and that's going to take some guts, especially when, you know, who knows, did the GR's car lot have a billboard up there at Southern? You know, it's going to take some guts to black flag and all of that like they need to. That would be my other comment, you know, like all these well-to-do racers that can afford wrecking cars for the fun of it. They're the ones that could have a billboard up, and they may not, you know, be real interested in policing them very much.
Right. That's the problem when you get monetarily involved with some of these guys. That's the issue, you know, and in that situation that I'm talking about, that happened with me in the racetrack. That's exactly what happened, and I was against it when it got signed on. But we need the money. It's gonna be okay. Blah 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 blah. You know, that's not the case. And also, not only just being a douchebag on the track, when you get monetarily involved with somebody who's related to a race car, everybody's gonna question the tech man. Everybody's gonna question everything. So, unfortunately, we don't have that world respect to garnish sponsorship dollars from people wanting to advertise their actual business. Most of these sponsorships that are getting involved with racetracks now are based on some kind of nepotism that they're hoping to acquire through the track, whether that's pit passes for free or or sweets for free. It's not really sponsoring to get publicity for their sport. It's sponsoring to get nepotism, you know. It's sponsoring to get a buddy system involved. Or like somebody just said, money laundering. But this is that's a whole nother scenario.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we'll get into that, but you know, yeah, it's like the trickle down of the NASCAR model, right? Like you got a kid, like you say, like a 13, 14-year-old kid who's got grandparents twice divorced. So you got like 6 grandparents, let's say, and they're all trying to be the best one. So then you end up in it's like a little micro NASCAR situation. Is kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, it's a microcosm, and then of course the situation in racing period it's a microcosm of how all the world works. You know, it's a microcosm of how politics work. You know, I was making a joke. I was like, all these politicians out here, even your favorite ones, are like race car drivers without the sponsors on the door. You know, they all got sponsors and they're all representing something that they have an investor in. You know, so it's a microcosm of everything in the same way.
Right. Yeah, and that brings me to the thought I really wanted to get across was, you know, like you said, David Gravel saying, man, it'd be great to be a NASCAR driver. Like you said, Davenport excited for his opportunity. And I get that. You know, we sitting here are like, you know, dude, you've already made it. Like what more can you possibly need out of racing than this? Well, think of, you know, I see on, I think my YouTube feed, what's that guy's name? Bob Pockris posted the week. He posted the weekend purse for the Cup race, you know, just whatever the next one is. And we're talking like an $8 million purse or whatever for the Cup race. So Davenport makes one start, and let's say he does finish top 15, like you're thinking, like I agree with. He probably is more than capable of, more than likely. You know, on top of the purse money, you know, he's in good with Nutrien. So there's more than just, you know, the late model contract that they're relying on here, right? Like he's making an appearance for Nutrien Ag and all of that. So it's literally a windfall. I mean, these guys, that's why every NASCAR driver has a foundation. And that's why, you know, you got the Matt DiBenedettos of the world that just want to run 25th, you know, for 25 years. And that's fine. Like more power to them. Hell, they're NASCAR drivers and I'm not. But
that doesn't garnish them being called a professional level of racing.
No, I agree with that. But then, you know, we scratch our heads and wonder why the dirt guys just want to taste the NASCAR. Well, that's fairly easy, you know.
Right. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Yeah. But then once again, microcosm of the real world, you know, you got this dirt thing that's there for you all the time. It don't have a lot of money, but it is exciting. You really, truly love it. It's what you've always, you know, it gives you sensations that no one else can give you. But that rich man, but that rich man with that nice Mercedes Benz, you know, and you get to live in a mansion. It's much so like love. Retirement. It's very much like love. Plan. You're basically, for all the working man out there who sign on to subscribing to this, you're basically saying that if you're a good working man, that you should have some woman that loves you no matter what. But if that man with the Benz rolls by and says, "Hey girl, what's your name?" she should automatically leave your ass no matter what, because that man's going to provide her a better life.
I don't know if I'm saying that. I'm saying
it's pretty damn similar, buddy. It's pretty damn. You're basically saying it's the money and that's it. You don't really love it. You don't really love them. You don't love them. You don't love racing cup cars.
No. But
it's
you're
just
also
about
not
the
gonna
money
leave forever. No, because you're not going to leave forever.
So it's a sugar daddy.
Yeah, so you're going to leave. You're
Okay.
going to leave. You're going to run 25th for 3 years.
Right.
And you got your retirement plan set up. Then you go do whatever you want. Then you go pull a Ken Schrader.
Right. Then you go back to the man you love.
Yeah, then you go back and then you do the passion stuff. But until then, you got to go suck it up and you know, just run around at the back. It seems like
so it's almost like OnlyFans.
A little bit, yeah. Which is why I'm like, you know, like you've had a couple videos here about, you know, how do we get dirt to prominence, all of that. My question is, how many people are at dirt tracks every Saturday night, like all over the country?
Okay.
I mean, and then compare that to how many people are buying a ticket to a NASCAR race, because it seems like they're having a hard time hitting 50,000 for a single event. And they post the viewership numbers all the time, but you know, I don't know if you do the same as me. I kind of throw that on Sunday, and most of stage 2 is when I have a nice, you know, recliner nap,
right?
And just, you know, so
but that's how they hoodwink. That's how they hoodwink sponsors. You know, they put these numbers out there and they hoodwink sponsors. You know, I don't know. I think it was Nature's Grow or something like that. You know, they hoodwinked some kind of natural granola bar company, who Nature's Valley or something like that. They hoodwinked them with Danica, you know, promised all these return on investment situations and never got it. I think Nature's Valley sued or something like that, but I don't know the whole ins and outs, but they use those numbers to inflate their value. You know, they use those numbers to inflate themselves. And then I still think it's a big problem that the society views them as the NASCAR realm as NFL, and then the dirt world is viewed as like flag football or the XFL, and we're just in America where we don't like watching Robins, man. You look at the numbers for XFL versus NFL, it's a joke. It's a joke. XFL's like about to go under again. And it's hurting them. I really think, I don't know if you heard the farmer harvester kind of deal, but that's a real big thing.
Oh yeah, I've heard that a couple times.
Really affected the sport of racing overall.
Oh, I get that. I guess what I'm getting at is, what if we're already, you know, dirt is already prominence. You know what I mean? What if we don't need NASCAR? I don't think NASCAR needs us. I don't think we need NASCAR, because I go to Knoxville 3-4 times a year. I go to Boone 3-4 times a year. You know, I go to dirt stuff. I go over to Davenport to the World of Outlaw show there. That's really good. You know, I'm not buying NASCAR tickets. So where I'm at is, and I think there's more of us than there are them. Number one, I don't care about impressing people who only, you know, the people that make the NFL comparison. I don't care about impressing them, because those are the people who are sitting at home watching Drive to Survive on Netflix, and they think that is racing, and it's not. It is not racing. And I don't care about trying to convert those people, because they're harmless. Once, you know,
but that is where we get the purses up, though. That is where we get the front gate money. That you know, that is where the sponsors, the potential sponsors are. The regular people. Like, I know a guy who owns a streaming company right now. He didn't know what dirt track racing was until 5 years ago, and his coworker told him to come out and sponsor his race car. He had no idea what it was. Thinks it's the most badass thing he's ever seen in his life, and he knows that there's all these other people that are just like him.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm saying I don't think that we need a Drive to Survive competitor to convert people. Like, that's not the thing. Like, you need to take people to the racetrack. You need to keep spreading the word like you're doing. You know what I mean? And not right. I think it's the other way around.
Why do you think mainstream media isn't, or even the big entities in dirt, the Flows of the Dirt Visions, or anyone affiliated with them? Why do you, or even XR to a certain extent? Although I could see why they don't really take this stance that I do, as far as trying to say how great our sport is and how we're just as good as the guys on Sunday, because, you know, XR are affiliated with SMI and Bristol and all them, you know.
I was going to say, they're competing for the same sponsors now.
Right. And I guess we could give the same excuse to Flow now, because they signed with NASCAR Weekly Racing, and now they're taking the money from the sugar daddy as well, so they can't bite the hand that feeds them. But Dirt Vision, well, I guess, World Racing Group is headquartered in Charlotte. Damn. So it's all just a big web. No wonder nobody but me is saying something.
It's kind of captured, isn't it?
Well, and and this is what I was talking about with my car. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to drive anymore because car is not in too great a shape after this last go round. But I don't even get. I mean, I got the numbers of some of the biggest outlets there are, but because of what I'm saying, I can't even get any mainstream sponsorship because of the stuff I'm talking about. Because it's that connected. It's that connected to the grassroots level.
Yeah. It's, I mean, like you say, it starts at pretty low down, and that's just the way it is.
Well, and a lot of people like to say I, went after Kyle Larson for 2 years straight, but I was simply making content that just said this, and I reached like 7 million views in a month and a half. And then Kyle Larson came in there talking shit to me, defending the NASCAR guys. And then all I did was just respond and say, well, you want to talk shit? The only reason people love you is because you're Cole Trickle. Imagine if you removed out of the Cup Series right now, Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. How many of the sprint car racing fans would watch NASCAR?
Oh, I don't know. Probably the ones that followed Ricky Stenhouse Jr. anyway.
Well, remove him. I'm just saying, remove the sprint car. Remove the sprint car guys. And who's how many of these fans are gonna watch? And I went into a sprint car Facebook page about a month and a half ago, and I said, hey, I want to challenge y'all guys to something. For every NASCAR race you watch, I want you to at least watch one late model race. The late model racing is just as good, or if not better, than NASCAR. I'm not saying you have to like it, but I'm just asking y'all to tune in. For every NASCAR race you watch. I didn't say watch every race they have or anything like that. I simply said for every NASCAR race you watch one late model race. And they lost their fucking minds. They were pissed. Oh, this isn't a late model page. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, my God. Why is that such a big request?
I don't know. I'm doing pretty good. I just bought a Flow subscription to watch Speed Week stuff. So I'm working on inverting that ratio pretty good here. I mean, at the end of the day, if I got a choice of nothing or having the NASCAR race on, I'll probably pick the NASCAR race, but I'm not that invested in it anyway.
I know. Well, my point is the only reason that sprint car fan base is watching is because NASCAR's learned how to siphon the fan bases. They've learned how to siphon. They take a short track star, they take a dirt track star, they take an off-road star, Haley Deegan, they take a female here, they take a black guy there, and they're trying to siphon all of these groups and treat them like colleges.
It's a cheap shot. Hey, don't get me wrong, it's a cheap shot, but like I say, I go to Knoxville. I would count myself as a sprint car fan, and I enjoy seeing Christopher Bell do well, even though he drives a Toyota and all of that good stuff, when he does well. Like, it was cool to see Stenhouse do well, but but I'm not watching to see how he does. So
right. Well, I mean, my point to the sprint car fan base is maybe that's why sometimes people look at World of Outlaw sprint car racing as college. They're using it as college. They're using it. They're taking a Kyle Larson, and then all the people from Florida University are watching that team because they took their player.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be a tougher act to pull off, with the streaming, because it's not going to be like, oh yeah, he ran dirt, so he's legit. It's going to be like, no, I watched all the Chili Bowl coverage and you didn't do shit all week,
Right.
Or William Byron, like, he couldn't even turn a lap. We saw it. So
yeah, but then the media entities, they manipulate it into like he did something great and grand.
Sure,
And I'm worried about what they're about to do with Davenport. I hope they don't do the Davenport what they did to Kinzer, which is going to happen. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's going to happen. If, like I said in my video about the opportunity, do you think Jonathan Davenport could beat Dallin Murdy in an IMCA stock car first try? Everyone who knows that question just said no. Now, do you that's the answer to your Bristol prediction?
Yeah.
You know, because now you got Kyle Larson in there in his shit. Christopher Bell's in his shit. You know, and I'm not gonna say, you know, I think Martin Truex Jr. he comes from that old cut teeth background. You know, Kevin Harvick's and those guys. I got respect for those asphalt short track guys who really whoop some ass on a short track level before getting up there. You know, so.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
you bet. Well, hey man, thanks for the call.
All righty. Well, we'll see if we can get another one in here. We are just over the 2-hour mark. Don't want to keep everybody up too damn late tonight. But anyways, thanks for calling in. Another Jake, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All righty. We'll see you next time.
All right.
So that was Jake. We did have a missed call, and it's this 850 number. We might make it the last call of the night. He has called twice, and we will give him a call back and see if it works. Let's see if it works, or will we go straight to voicemail? Hello.
How's it going, Chaz?
Who is calling, or who has tried to call? It looks like you tried to call 3 times.
I may have hit the button. It's Hunter from Milton, Florida.
Okay. So you're down there in the scene.
Yeah. Milton, this whole area has been my home since about 2000. So racing here is not. Hunt the Front's definitely helped out a lot, though. But besides that, if Hunt the Front's not the races, don't expect the track to be too packed.
Right. I mean, I was there at Southern Raceway in 2019 for a USCS race. One thing that surprised me was it does seem like y'all got fans there. I don't know if that's just for sprint cars or Hunt the Front, but it seemed like there was a pretty decent amount of people in the stands.
Oh yeah, I mean when you have the sprint cars involved, I know the speed weeks they come up here after they get done with East Bay. The 360s do, and then like I said, Hunt the Front, they can make more money racing here at Southern, especially with their live streaming service now, than they do traveling the country. So
right.
Hunt the Front's definitely helped out that track a lot in the past 2 years.
So what did you want to call in and kind of talk about?
No, I wanted to talk about your thoughts and opinions on. I mean, I guess you gave us some thoughts and opinions on the Ashton Winger situation and whatnot. The funny thing is, are you aware of how far that history goes back?
Well, I know that Ashton Winger was going to drive for GR. I think it was last year, and it didn't work out. I'm assuming there's always you could tell with certain drivers when you meet them that they are sort of drama filled. There's always something wrong. And I feel like GR Smith is that type of car owner, and I'm assuming something went wrong. Now, Ashton Winger does drive aggressively. Hold on, I'm going to try to fix this.
The kid can drive incredibly.
I'm going to try to fix this earpiece. Okay, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. This earpiece deal, I'm trying to use it, and it called somebody earlier, so I was hoping it didn't hang up on you. But go ahead.
But no, Winger, I mean, he's a great driver, man. I feel
he's
like
extremely aggressive. I call him a baby Bobby Pierce because he pulls the Bobby Pierce type moves, but he doesn't necessarily, I think, have the experience to clear them as clean as Pierce does. And Pierce gets hated on for being dirty just because he's a little overly aggressive. And I would say Winger and Pierce's driving style is very similar. I would say that Winger gets into other cars a little bit more than Pierce does.
Yeah, so the funny thing is GR's history and Ashton's history, it goes back to 2018 when it actually started.
Okay.
Crate Racing USA down here in the Southeast region, if you're familiar with it.
Yes.
Normally, their
used to be the Neesmith.
Yep. So they used to have their finale at Southern. It was called the Southern 100. Well, back in 2018, GR decided to bring down his crate late model since he's been winning all the super races there. And that's whenever Ashton was dominating the Crate Racing USA. And that's right before he got into super late models just about full time. Well, funny thing is at Southern, if you look on the back straightaway, there's a billboard missing. That was their first altercation they got into back in 2018, to give a little bit of context here.
Okay, and I'm guessing what you're saying is in that that billboard's missing because somebody got put through that billboard?
Ashton ended up putting GR through the billboard.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting then. So they had that, and I'm assuming that kind of trickled throughout the foreseeable future, but then he ends up driving for him. So
yeah, so the funny thing is the following season, after the speed weeks get over with, the Southern All-Stars always do their tour here. And that's whenever Ashton was still in his house car. This is right before he started racing for David Brazil. Or no, it was, who was it? Not David Brazil, it was the number 17 guy out of Alabama that just won Friday night here. Billy Franklin, his Billy Franklin Enterprise car.
Okay.
But again, Ashton and GR spun out Ashton. And him and his dad had an altercation in the pits again back in 2019. So it's been a revolving door, and I'm just, I love the sport to death. I really do. I don't know how much of a positive look it actually gives the sport now.
Oh, not at all.
Because if you see a situation like this.
Oh, it just reinstates the hillbilly notion. G.R. Smith, doesn't he have a pretty decent history of running guys over, though, and acting like this?
Yeah, so actually you can go through the Hunt the Front videos way back about 2 or 3 years ago. G.R. Smith completely ran over Joseph Joyner when Joseph was winning the race. G.R. completely doored him. I mean, it was aggressive, and it ended up bending the suspension, bent shocks, and everything, just because GR couldn't pass him. That's just how he is. But he's got the money. He doesn't care.
Right, so he's able to bully people on the racetrack because he's got the money.
Yeah, but all night, though, you could tell, the whole weekend with those two, you could tell something was bound to happen. Because I was actually there when it happened. And, for some weird reason, I was like, I think I'm going to go into the pits. Because GR finally left the track. They pulled out Ashton's quarter panel. And a caution came out, or a red flag came out. Well, Ashton was sitting down on the front, or turn 4, basically front straightaway. Well, the official told him to go to the pits, that basically he needs to go to the pits right now. So Ashton speeds off the track. At that point, I decided to go into the pits, take a look at everything, and that's literally when I saw everything kind of unfold. I mean,
now, from my understanding, Ashton's dad didn't bring a hammer into the trailer. The hammer, I guess, was in the trailer.
No, he brought it over. If you watch the latest Hunt the Front video, you can see it where they actually show him walking over with a hammer.
I did watch the video, but I didn't see that. I only watched it once. So, but regardless, I think that's when you make a big mistake legally, is when you get a weapon involved.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. But the thing is, though, is what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? They had the shovel incident out there.
Yep.
So since you were in the track promoting and running the tracks and whatnot, how bad does that affect the insurance for the track?
I mean, they got some big issues coming. I mean, the insurance situation is not going to work out well. There's no way around it. So, it's a bad look for the track. Obviously, police being on the scene multiple times within a month, that's almost like having a wreck, in your car 2 times in a month. That's not going to work out good. So it's going to be one of those situations where we can only speculate how much it's going to affect it.
Yeah, because I know the track as it is, it definitely needs an overhaul and renovation. I mean, that's one thing, but since you've been inside the sport, the management side of it. Is this why you see a lot of these smaller tracks closed down, because of insurance purposes? Is that one of the factors too?
That's what a lot of people say. I mean, it's pretty much, lack of fans most of the time, no money coming in. I mean, which therefore can't pay the insurance. It's all about income and financials. And I think it goes back to the respect and awareness, recognition for what's going on out there. And these situations don't help those either category I just mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm looking at too, because in my little small area, we've got 4 dirt tracks. We used to have 5, but we have 4 dirt tracks within an hour apart from each other. And they don't communicate. They don't cooperate. and they all try scheduling on top of one another. That's another big thing here is basically fighting for race car drivers, because not everyone wants to run at Southern. They're going to run to Loxley or the Deep South Speedway, or go to Northwest Florida Speedway, or Tri-County up in Alabama. I mean, that's another big issue we're having down here too, is just the fact that there's too many racetracks, not enough cars.
Well, and that's the issue. I sit here and say the way you do it at the GRs, all the tracks and everybody gets together and says we don't need your entry fee or pit pass. But when you're in a scenario where you're fighting for racers,
correct.
You can't get everybody.
That's what I was kind of trying to bring up. That's what I was trying to bring up too. Is like, you talked about, don't let this guy come in because of his history, but you need your car counts up right too, just to survive. Right, and that's an effect of the whole scenario of the respect recognition and getting the fans to pay. And I mean, honestly, if you can have the fans and not have the cars, that's fine. But you need the cars to have the fans, or most tracks don't have fans, so they're relying on the back gate to pay for the show. Oh yeah, yeah.
It used to be a front gate, business mile, and it's a back gate business mile now.
Oh yeah, but I think the funniest thing to take away from the whole weekend though. G.R. Smith had his racing trailer out there selling his merchandise. And I just think it was funny as shit seeing Ashton Winger shirts he was selling still.
He was selling Ashton Winger shirts?
All of his old number 89 and 22 shirts. Oh, yeah. He still has them. He was still selling them.
Wow. I wonder if Winger can do something about that. I wonder, because obviously there's going to be court and legal situations here. I wonder if he's got an angle on that,
I mean, I guess at the time, it was GR's car, so it's GR's merchandise.
That's true. That's true. But so isn't it Ashton's likeness?
Yeah, exactly. I understand, but I just thought that was one funny thing to take away from the whole weekend, though.
I think we lost him.
I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. You kind of just went blank for a second.
No.
But yeah, that is a very interesting. That's funny. That is funny. That's a funny tidbit.
But no, I just wanted to call you, kind of brief you up on that. If you've seen the video, I'm guessing you've seen the video of the fights in the pits. But I'm the one in the orange hat and white shirt trying to pull off Ashton Winger, so trying to help everybody out.
Are you the orange hat that took him to the ground, or orange shirt that took him to the ground?
No, I'm the first one to try breaking them up.
Oh, okay. Because everybody remembers the orange shirt guy who took him to the ground.
Yeah.
Which is the T-shirt guy who was selling his merchandise, apparently.
Yep. So, but there's a lot of history there, and I think the cops also did a pretty shoddy job of the work out there too. I mean, they knew what happened. Why didn't you have track? You can look at the reports though, but there were no track officials. There was no police. It was just crews only. And I think I blame the racetrack on that one and the series for that one. Yeah. They probably should have known better.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I just want to call in, fill you in on that. I'm a big fan of yours, man. Love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Well, thanks a lot. Means a lot. And I think you are going to be our last caller here. So.
All right. I appreciate it.
All righty, man. Thanks for calling in. Hunter from Milton, Florida, huh? There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't think we got any more callers calling in. And it's been a little over 2 hours. So a 2-hour little show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed tuning in. Links in the description to support. Like I said, I don't know. Should I start a GoFundMe for a vehicle? I'm going to try these other routes. But desperate times call for desperate measures. You never know, ladies and gentlemen, in the world today. You never damn know. But I guess we could send you out here with some Malibu Barbie. What do you think? Some Malibu Barbie? Is that going to work? Some Malibu Barbie. I think we got some Malibu Barbie on deck. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. The video will be up, and we will be putting the audio on Spotify and all the podcasts. I guess we'll put them out there. Why not? Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.